On a fall afternoon in 1992, a suspicious dumping is reported by some early morning hunters. Within 20 minutes, Henry County Detective Ronnie Minter walks into the woods to investigate.
I came out and stopped and walked up this logging road and went up to where this pile of wood and a couch was. And underneath this, you could see the deteriorating head of a human being.
The head is attached to the body of a man, wrapped in a bedsheet and badly decomposed. Officer Minter wastes no time calling homicide. Investigators need to put a name to their victim. They follow the body to the county morgue, hoping an examination of the corpse itself will provide them with an answer. Forensic scientist Lyle Shaver is given the task of evaluating John Doe's harvested skin. He likes what he sees. Shaver identifies the right thumb as his best chance for recovering a usable print. Shaver enters the print into the automated fingerprint identification system. In a matter of minutes, APHIS compares the lift against more than 10 million prints and produces a hit. 35-year-old Jerry McClendon.
That was a big break in the case that we identified the unknown body, which led us to look for where his whereabouts were.
McClendon was reported AWOL 10 days earlier from the Little Creek Naval Base. Nestor contacts the Virginia Beach Police and tells them he has found their missing sailor. Unfortunately, he is dead. On October 6th, Virginia Beach detectives Pat Tucker and Doug Williams knock on the door of Jerry McClendon's home. No one answers.
Looked in the windows. The house appeared to be empty, which was very unusual.
With no warrant to enter the home, Tucker and Williams prepare to leave when they notice a mailbox by the curb.
And we looked at each other and said, why not? So we opened up the mailbox.
And we noticed that the letters were addressed to Jerry McClendon, some of them, but there were also correspondence in that mailbox addressed to a David DeShazo and a Roxanna Latham.
Roxanna Latham and David DeShazo. The two names are passed on to the Henry County Sheriff's Department, to the desk of Captain Kimmy Nestor. Nestor runs both names against his local police databank and gets a hit. David DeShazo's name pops up on an old police report. Even more interesting is DeShazo's current home address, Apartment B in the log cabin complex in Henry County, Virginia. Detectives decide they need to talk to DeShazo to find out two things. First, why is he receiving mail at a dead man's apartment? And second, why does he now live less than 2 miles from where that man's body was discovered? In the early evening hours of October 6th, David DeShazo welcomes Captain Nestor and Detective Adams into his living room. His fiancée, Roxanna Latham, stands by his side. The couple tell detectives they boarded with Jerry McClendon in Virginia Beach up until 2 weeks ago. Now Henry County is their home. They made the 250-mile move west to be close to DeShazo's family, and detectives note, close to the dumping ground for Jerry McClendon's body. David and Roxanna claim they last saw Jerry McClendon 2 weeks earlier in Virginia Beach and had only recently learned of his death from the local newspaper reports.
I had only been an investigator at the time for about 7 months, but I could tell that they had something to do with it. They were acting too nervous about it.
Dr. William Masello is the Assistant Chief Medical Examiner for Western Virginia. For 22 years, he has been opening up bodies, hunting for clues, extracting information from the dead.
Most of the deaths that we investigate are reasonably straightforward. Each pathologist has 3 or 4 every year that are rather mystifying. And this one was somewhat mystifying.
On October 5th, Masello cuts into McClendon's body, hoping to find more subtle signs of murder. He immediately notes swelling along the inner lining of the throat and damage to the lungs, both consistent with a loss of oxygen and death by asphyxiation. Toxicology adds yet another twist, reporting high levels of a tranquilizing drug called alprazolam, or as it's commonly known, Xanax. Dr. Masello's findings pinpoint the means of murder. Someone blocked Jerry McClendon's airways and killed him. Detectives now return to what they believe to be the killing ground, the victim's apartment in Virginia Beach. For the second time in 2 weeks, Virginia Beach detectives Doug Williams and Pat Tucker arrive outside 1764 Solar Lane. This time, however, McClendon's family has granted them permission to enter the building. The house is deserted, save one room. Inside Jerry McClendon's bedroom, detectives find signs of a struggle. The bed is stripped. A pillowcase on the floor is stained with what appears to be bodily fluid. The fabric design matches the bedsheet found covering McClendon's naked body in Henry County. The story the room offers is consistent with Dr. Masello's findings. When homicide detectives begin to speculate about motive, one of the first things they follow is the money. Tucker and Williams pull McClendon's bank and credit reports. They find the victim's ATM account was very active within the 3 days surrounding McClendon's first disappearance.
And luckily for us, the ATM machines that were used in 1992 had cameras.
Detectives request all the photos taken when McClendon's account was activated. In the back of the Lynn Haven Mall, an automated cash machine does a brisk business. Hidden above the console, a camera snaps pictures of each transaction. On September 22nd, the day Jerry McClendon disappeared, these images were captured. The first shows David DeShazo withdrawing $200 from McClendon's account. The second depicts DeShazo again, but this time his fiancée, Roxanna Latham, is with him. This time, $100 is taken from McClendon's account. Over the next 3 days, the pair would return 4 times, 6 transactions in all, totaling $1,500. Detectives decide to arrest only Roxanna for credit card fraud, hoping some time in a holding cell might coax a confession out of the 29-year-old suspect.
I don't understand. I really don't. I am totally lost on this. I know absolutely nothing.
Roxanna offers no new information to police, and they are forced to release her into the waiting arms of David DeShazo. Frustrated investigators can only sit back and wait for the relationship to fail. The waiting game pays off in 1998 when Special Agent Dan Rice from the Naval Criminal Investigative Services discovers the happy couple is no more.
It was probably a good time right now to make a move on her.
Roxanna tells detectives David DeShazo was jealous of McClendon and coveted his cash. According to Roxanna, DeShazo had talked of murder, but the threats never took until the night of September 22nd, when Roxanna Latham claims she walked into McClendon's bedroom to find her fiancé holding a pillow over McClendon's face.
David told me to grab Jerry's hand. And I told him, I said, David, I can't. He said, yes, you can, and you're going to do this. And he said, or when I get done here, you'll be next. I took Jerry's hands off of David's, from around David's wrists, because they were around David's wrists, and I put him down by his arm, by his body. And then I walked out of the room.
Roxanna tells police she then helped loot McClendon's ATM and dumped his body in Henry County, Virginia, because she was afraid of David DeShazo, afraid for her life. Detectives believe if they get the couple talking to each other, the real story of McClendon's death might somehow emerge. On the morning of June 8th, Roxanna calls David DeShazo.
Well, explain to me, why did we do this to begin with? Why did it even happen?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, you one of them sneaky little people. You probably record stuff. So I ain't gonna say no whole lot over the telephone. Together, we was 50-50 on the final thing. But see now, you gotta remember now, if you try to cut some little deal, it ain't gonna work.
Roxanna's phone call is not going as she hoped. DeShazo begins to provide fresh details about the murder, details Roxanna Latham never mentioned to police.
Whose medication was fed?
Mine.
All right then.
Well, when I looked at her, her eyes as big as frying pans. Like, oh my God, they know.
Still holding the phone, DeShazo is arrested outside his home in Henry County. Within 6 hours, he is at the Virginia Beach police station. DeShazo claims Roxanna hated Jerry and often complained of McClendon's advances. Those complaints turned to threats on the night of September 22nd. The night began with Roxanna cooking spaghetti for dinner. DeShazo claims he watched Roxanna empty her prescription bottle of Xanax into the simmering spaghetti sauce. She then poured the poisoned sauce onto a plate of pasta and fed the serving to Jerry McClendon. DeShazo then tells detectives Roxanna was not only the brains, but also the brawn in Jerry McClendon's death.
She said, why don't you go in there and take a pillow and lay it over his head? I said, well, I can't lay the pillow over his head. She said, well, hold his wrist down for me there.
Two people, each pointing fingers at each other, each helping to convict the other. On September 29, 2000, David DeShazo is convicted of murder 1 and pulls a life sentence. 10 months later, his ex-fiancée Roxanna Latham is found guilty of murder in the 2nd degree. She is sentenced to 15 years in prison.